Now, among the anti-tubercular drugs, that too the first line anti-tubercular drugs, now let me discuss about the isoniazid. The important point regarding the isoniazid is that it is a prodrug. Right? Important point is that it is a prodrug. Now, because it is a prodrug, it needs to be activated, and this particular isoniazid is activated by catalase-peroxidase, right? Activated by catalase-peroxidase. Next, the other important thing is this particular catalase-peroxidase, it is coded by a gene called as KatG gene, right? So this is coded by KatG gene. Now, so this particular prodrug is converted into active metabolite by catalase-peroxidase. Now, this active metabolite, what it does, what is the mechanism of action, how it will kill the Mycobacterium tuberculosis organism. Remember, this particular active metabolite of isoniazid, what it will do? This active metabolite inhibits an enzyme which is called as 𝗏-enoyl reductase enzyme. Right? It inhibits an enzyme which is called as 𝗏-enoyl reductase enzyme. So, 𝗏-enoyl reductase enzyme. Right? It inhibits the 𝗏-enoyl reductase enzyme. This particular 𝗏-enoyl reductase enzyme is coded by INHA. Right? This is coded by INHA. Now, a point that you need to remember is this 𝗏-enoyl reductase enzyme, this is required for mycolic acid synthesis. Right? This is required for mycolic acid synthesis. Now, what is this particular mycolic acid? Remember, this mycolic acid, it is an essential component of mycobacterial cell wall. Okay, so this mycolic acid, it is an essential component of alright, it is an essential component of the mycobacterial cell wall. Next, if you see the mechanism of action, the active metabolite, it inhibits the enzyme that is 𝗏-enoyl reductase enzyme. This particular 𝗏-enoyl reductase enzyme is coded by INHA. This 𝗏-enoyl reductase is required for the mycolic acid synthesis. This mycolic acid, it is a very essential component of mycobacterial cell wall. So once this enzyme is inhibited, then the cell wall synthesis of the mycobacterial tuberculosis does not occur, then the organism will die. Now, a very important point is this is an oxygen dependent pathway, right? So this entire mechanism of action of this particular drug on the mycobacterial tuberculosis is completely an oxygen dependent pathway. So remember, it acts by oxygen dependent pathway such as catalase-peroxidase reaction, right? It acts by alright. So it acts by the oxygen dependent pathway, which is nothing but the catalase-peroxidase reaction. Alright, which is nothing but catalase-peroxidase reaction. Now, another important point is it is the single most drug which is used in tuberculosis, right? This is the drug which is used in case of tuberculosis. Now a point what I want to tell you here is the mycobacterial strains are assumed to be susceptible to isoniazid if the resistance is less than 4%. Now what I want to tell you is this mycobacterial tuberculosis organism can develop resistance to this particular isoniazid, and resistance to this mycobacterial tuberculosis to isoniazid is due to mutation of the gene KatG or due to mutation of the gene that is INHA. Now this mycobacterial strains are assumed to be susceptible to the isoniazid if the resistance is less than 4%. But if the resistance is increased more than 4%, then the mycobacterial tuberculosis strains, they are not susceptible to the isoniazid. So remember this point. Mycobacterial strains, they are susceptible, right? They are susceptible if resistance, right? If resistance to isoniazid is less than 4%. Alright, next. Now another very important point is that this isoniazid, it is acting in both the ways. That means it is a bacteriostatic drug and as well as it is also bactericidal drug. That means in case of resting tuberculous organism, it acts as the bacteriostatic agent, whereas in case of rapidly multiplying organisms, it is acting as the bactericidal agent. So remember, this particular isoniazid, it acts as bacteriostatic and bactericidal. Now you take bacteriostatic. This particular bacteriostatic, it acts against the resting organisms, right? It acts against the resting tuberculous organisms, whereas if you take bactericidal, it is against rapidly multiplying organisms. Right, it is against rapidly multiplying organisms. Next, the other very important point is that this particular isoniazid, it is active against both the intracellular and as well as the extracellular mycobacteria. So this isoniazid is active against the intracellular and as well as the extracellular mycobacterial species. Alright, it is active against both intracellular as well as the extracellular mycobacteria. Now remember, the action of this isoniazid is most marked against rapidly multiplying bacilli rather than the slow multipliers. Okay, so this particular isoniazid, it is having activity against rapidly acting organisms. Right, it is active against rapid multipliers, that is rapidly multiplying bacilli. Whereas this isoniazid is less effective against the slow multipliers. Alright, less effective against the slow multipliers. Next, the other important point is that it is widely distributed in the body, including the cerebrospinal fluid, right? So this is widely distributed, right? And it is also distributed within the cerebrospinal fluid. Now, what is the route of administration of this isoniazid? The isoniazid, it is administered orally, right? Isoniazid, it is administered orally. Now, how is this metabolized? Right? How is this metabolized? Remember, this is metabolized by acetylation, which is genetically controlled, right? So, if you see the metabolism, it is metabolized by process of, right, by the process of acetylation, which is genetically controlled. Now you see, like we have what is called as the fast acetylators and slow acetylators. This particular isoniazid, it can undergo fast acetylation as well as it can also undergo slow acetylation. That means we have a group of individuals who are fast acetylators and we have a group of individuals who are slow acetylators. Fast acetylators, they require high dose of isoniazid, whereas slow acetylators, they are predisposed to the toxicity of isoniazid. Okay, so remember this point. You take the fast acetylators. Fast acetylators, they require high dose, right? Whereas you take the slow acetylators, right? Slow acetylators. So if you take the slow acetylators, they are predisposed to the toxicity, right? They are predisposed to the toxicity. And what is that particular toxicity? That toxicity is nothing but your peripheral neuritis, right? That toxicity is nothing but your peripheral neuritis. So let me shortly revise until here now. So if you take this particular isoniazid, remember isoniazid, this is a prodrug which is activated by the catalase-peroxidase, which is coded by the gene that is called KatG gene. Now this active metabolite, it inhibits the enzyme that is keto-enoyl reductase enzyme, which is coded by INHA, which is required for mycolic acid synthesis, which is an essential component of the mycobacterial cell wall. Now it acts by the oxygen dependent pathway such as catalase-peroxidase reaction, and this mycobacterial strains, they are assumed to be susceptible to isoniazid if the resistance is less than 4%. And this isoniazid, it is bacteriostatic on the resting organisms and bactericidal on rapidly multiplying organisms. And this isoniazid is effective against intracellular and as well as the extracellular mycobacterial species. The action of this isoniazid is less effective against the slow multipliers, and it is widely distributed including the CSF. And the route of administration is the oral route of administration, and it is metabolized by the process of the acetylation. And we have fast acetylators and slow acetylators. Fast acetylators, they require high dose, whereas slow acetylators, they are predisposed to the toxicity of isoniazid, and particularly that is peripheral neuritis.